Excuse me, miss? Excuse me, miss? Miss?
Don't you know who my father is?
Ben Guerrero was a funny man, a class clown by age 2. His jokes hit a serious side, you all know that's true. All along he loved his friends, he got married at least twice, adored his kids, ignored the trends, lived with bats and mice. He worked at that, he wore so many hats, kept returning to his art, made things to give away, became a nurse at 52, rock star at Silver Hill. He was good at what he did, he knew all about the blues. Fought death long as he could. He knew he could not stay. He would have given anything to be with us today. Out of time and out of rhyme, there's only this to say. Please remember our dear Ben, make some art today.
Guerrero and his family have been a big part of the museum for many, many years. And when Alexander told me that his father was ill, we talked about doing sort of a pop-up show because he really wanted to see some of his paintings on the walls before he passed. And then we didn't have time. So these two came in and said, we really have enough stuff to put on a whole show in the Schmeichel Gallery. And they started to talk about what they had. And basically what they told me was that their father's relationships with his friends and family were all through his art. And so his gifts to his friends and family were how he connected to people. And they showed me oh my gosh, we were looking at so many slides of things. And their creativity and their vision brought this to life. So I'm really glad that the museum has had a chance to honor your dad and honor the two of you and your extraordinary family. So thank you all for coming, and the show will be up through the 16th.
Yes, come back.
Yeah.
I think my brother wants to say something.
Yeah, I really just want to express some gratitude to everybody here in this room. You know, thank you to all the members of this incredible space for being invested in the small and wonderful museum. You know, thank you, Nancy, and all the incredible staff here at the Historical Society. Nancy, you gave an incredible gift to our family and to our dad, especially for giving us this space so graciously. And you know, I really think this is a homecoming for our dad, Ben, and you gave him something that I think he always wanted, which was an incredible space, incredible exhibit. So thank you so much for that. I also want to thank Susan, Barbara, Charlie, Mark, Mom, Just for all the support in getting this up. And I'd like everybody to join me in raising a glass here to my sister Hannah.
Yeah.
Dad is smiling today. You did everybody so proud with your hard work in putting this together.
Yeah.
I love you and thank you so much. The theme of the show is life is brief, so get to work.
Yeah, let's see what you got.
Yeah, let's see what you got. Yeah, that's right.
How does it feel to see all of Ben's work presented in such a way for the first time?
It's pretty spectacular. You know, he's a true artist.
Charlie just said to me he's a closet artist.
Well, he didn't want to be known as an artist. Not to me.
Same, at the chapter in his life in which I met him, I would say the same.
And Pedro told me one time that I tried to convince Ben that he could sell some of his work, and he told me that he wasn't interested. And, you know, it's typical of a father to say something to my father would say, you know, you could do this. And their reaction, especially as a teenager, say, screw you, I'm going to do what I want to do.
There is a father-son piece of this.
Fathers get pissed about that. So,
Yeah.
You see a lot of the Mexican influence in the art, and so he kept that, but he painted in a lot of different styles, motifs, and mediums.
So Ben inserted himself intentionally into a lot of his work. This one is very much, as the caption suggests, in the kind of style of Norman Rockwell, or like a genteel white mid-century town. But then there's that creepy guy, second from the right, looking directly at the viewer, wearing an R. Crumb t-shirt, the famous counterculture comic R. Crumb. And R. Crumb was actually a mentor of Ben's. I don't know how directly, but there's a quote in his obituary from R. Crumb who said Ben was a great talent. So that t-shirt he's wearing is from Mr. Natural, which is one of R. Crumb's most famous cartoons. And notice all these other people are wearing nice loafers and heels. This guy's here not wearing any shoes. If you look at the painting over here from our mantle, or from above our fireplace, Ben is in this piece as well. Do you want to venture?
I knew I'd seen that before.
Do you want to venture a guess to where he is in the painting? Take a good look. You see him? Which one is he? Far right.
Where?
Very far right in the fez.
In the fez.
Very far right. We're here with Bradford Brooks, best friend, confidant, and co-conspirator of the late great Ben Guerrero, seeing the exhibit for the first time. Give us a word.
Oh, in a word, unbelievable, and actually quite moving and poignant.
So I didn't know you guys are connected.
Oh yeah, we're the worst halves. We're rehearsing up here for the memorial.
Farther along.
Yeah. Yep.
Clarence Thomas arrangement.
And just for some context, this is an old hymn made famous by Dolly and Elvis, but in the spirit of Benny, we're doing the Flying Burrito Brothers arrangement.
So it's like a waltz, 3/4. Go.
Farther along, we'll know more about it. Farther along, we'll understand why. Cheer up, my brother.
it should be. Hold it on. When death has gone, man, taken our love, it leaves our home so lonely and dreary. And shall we wander how this lost love? Living so wicked, year after year. Farther along with no one about it. Farther along with others and wise. Cheer up, my brother, come singing the sunshine. We'll understand it by and by. Faithful to death, said our loving master. A few more days to live away. Toils of the road will seem that there's nothing when we sleep through that. Father, along with no more about it. Father, along with understand why. Cheer up, my brother, singing this sunshine. We'll understand by and by. We'll understand it all by and by.
In the last few years of his life, my dad had great projects on the horizon. Ben and Bridget lived together in that house on High Ridge Road where there were plenty of things to do and plenty still left undone. When I would call Dad to announce my arrival and make plans to get together, he would always lay out a few projects especially for me. He would say something like, you know, I don't want you to feel like I always have something I need your help with when you're here, but it would be great if we could take up the carpet and take it to the cleaners, or rehang the door on the barn, or maybe we could get together and mix up some concrete and repair the stone steps that are falling apart so I don't break my ass. That was the dynamic that and Dad needed help through this time, as we all know. I would get frustrated with him about the kind of work he was doing in the early years of his cancer, when his mobility started to go, but it was a source of pride for Dad to be able to hold his own. That was huge for him. And you'll see that upstairs in the presentation of his work. And I'm sure we all know what I'm talking about when I say that if Dad got it in his mind to do something, he would figure out how to do it, and do it pretty damn well. That was one of his superpowers. I would say he was also pretty good at being sick. He was a fighter, and like I told him before he went, Dad, you have shown me just what our last name means. So say it if you know. What does our last name mean?
Warrior.
That's right. That's what Guerrero means. Life is brief. Get to work. Life is brief. Get to work also means calling the people you love just to talk. You never know when that last phone call may be. Mine was upstairs in the gallery. Now I'd like to share a few stories about growing up with Dad. Music was a huge part of our relationship, and when I was visiting colleges, we drove down to New York City in the Beaner, my Pinto Bean colored 1983 BMW 318i that I got for $500 from his mechanic in Norwalk. That was a great car with lots of mechanical problems. We headed to SVA in Manhattan, visited, and I found it unmemorable. Then we went to the Virgin Megastore in Union Square, looked at CDs. Remember CDs? If you worked at the gramophone shop, raise your hand. What's up, gramophone people? He handed me a copy of Will the Circle Be Unbroken by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band and said, "Ever heard this? No? Let's get it and you drive us home." It was my first time hearing the record and my first time driving in Manhattan. Many recall city driving before they changed the speed limit to 25 miles an hour. That was terrifying, but it was thrilling, like a scene out of a movie. And you know, there was lots of singing along. Dad liked to use the cellophane CD wrappers to floss his teeth. Dad knew all the words to every song, the name of every musician, and how to play the air banjo really well. Dad started nursing school when I was in art school, graduating in 2008. Having a nurse in the family, as many of you know, can be really wonderful, especially when weird stuff is happening. How many nurses are here today? How many Silver Hill people?
Yay!
Thank you for being here. I married a nurse, as many of you know, Virginia, and there's weird stuff happening all the time, so that's great. I called up Dad one night with a serious concern. I used to have his direct line at Silver Hill on the phone, and we would email about when he was working late so we could talk. So I called Dad at work, and the call goes like this. Hey Dad, I have kind of a weird question. It's a nurse question. Yeah, what's up? Well, I don't know if I should go to the hospital or not. It's kind of gross. Yeah, what's going on? Well, I just pooped and it's very red, and I don't know why. And he said, oh, that's gross. Well, have you eaten any beets today? And I had. Thanks, Dad. You know, you couldn't escape a beet salad in the early 2000s. While we're on the topic of cuisine, I'll mention that all the Guerreros also go through a pork rind phase. And as kids, even Hannah liked them, and we all like the hot ones. Grandpa used to say that the moment he realized he was a Mexican was when he went over to his uncle's house and saw geraniums growing in old tin cans on the porch. For me, it was when I tasted chicharron for the first time. We got a bag of them at ShopRite, like you do. We were in the back seat of the car, ripping that bag open. Dad spun around wild-eyed, said, God damn it, which one of you farted? And why couldn't you wait until you were outside? Why'd you have to do it in the car? Which one of you was that? Well, it was the pork rinds, Dad. And he took a second whiff. He confirmed that we were telling the truth. He asked for a pawful. Dear old Dad. When it was obvious to everyone, including me, that the road I was on with alcohol was not going to end well, Dad showed me that change was possible through his actions. Having a sober parent made it possible for me to accept a sober life, and it was the best gift I ever gave myself. Thank you, Dad, for showing me the path and letting me walking it in my own way. He carried a sobriety chip with him everywhere he went on his keychain. I was always impressed by that, as for so many, their recovery is private and personal, and not something to advertise. But I wonder how many people noticed and benefited. His sobriety date is February 11th, 2000. No small feat there. In the time leading up to his death and the time after, it had been incredible to hear from his friends and colleagues about the character of this man that happened to be my dad. Connecting with so many of the people he loved, I learned that Hannah and I were his greatest achievement. And he was forever proud of us, and I carry that with me always. I also learned that he was a supremely good friend, and I aspire to have those kinds of friendships that last 50 years. He was terribly funny, and we all miss laughing with him. And you know, my dad taught us an important lesson when we were young kids. He said, "Kids, do you know why you always have to run over a plastic bag on the road?" No, Dad, why? You know why, right, Hannah? Yeah, you know why, you poor thing.
Ask us after.
Because, I'll tell you why. Because it might have kittens in it. We found that hilarious, even though it means we should all have our heads examined. So as we spend some time with his work upstairs, we ask ourselves what remains of him. His sense of humor is everywhere in this show, and his love of making things. He made us. He did a pretty good job, I'd say. We're left with so many stories, so much laughter, and memories bittersweet. Virginia and I had the privilege of being his last act as Justice of the Peace, and we're forever grateful he made that trip to be with us and give us those happy memories. If my dad married you, raise your hand. Hey, everybody. You know the special treatment you get. He got to see our apartment in San Francisco. We got to go on another madcap drive through my city and celebrate our wild and wonderful family all weekend long. I'd like to celebrate and close with an impression of my father sneezing. We miss you, Dad. Forever my buddy. Forever our friend. Forever missed. Whew, how can you do that, man? Keeps you young. I'll keep it going, Dad, no matter what. Life is brief, y'all get to work. Thank you.
Bravo.
I first heard this when Al Naus, everybody raise your hand if you know Al Naus,
Excellent. He gave it to Ben to read at my mother's memorial service in June of 1976. Ben had no memory of reading it, and I might not have either, but Al gave me the book Ben read from, and I think he stole it from Saks Junior High. And it's from the Human Comedy by William Saroyan. In the story based on Saroyan's childhood in Fresno, California, Homer Macaulay's brother dies in World War II. His boss Spangler says this to him. "I'm not going to try to comfort you," Spangler said. "I know I couldn't. But try to remember that a good man can never die. You will see him many times. You will see him in the streets. You will see him in the houses, in all the places in the town, in the vineyards, in the orchards, in the rivers and clouds, in all the things here that make this a world for us to live in. You will feel him in all things that are here out of love and for love, all the things that are abundant, all the things that grow. The person of a man may leave or be taken away, but the best part of a good man stays. It stays forever. Love is immortal and makes things all immortal."
Hello, old timer. And then I asked him before I take my coat off, it was this time of year, if he wanted anything done. "Oh yeah. What are you in the mood for?" Or something like that. It almost always involved doing something with wood, or moving or cleaning up something. And those steps that Alex mentioned, I think, always needed some attention. So, in memory of Ben, Hannah, little piece that she just did was from the homeowner. If you haven't read those articles, you should. And you can't have one of these t-shirts because I don't think there are anymore. Hannah's got, I've got two, but he did the silk screening himself. So, yeah, it didn't work out so well. And then Ben was very generous, so he gave me this vest, which is an Orvis vest. And it's hard to believe that he wore this, because I'm a little smaller than Ben, and I can't put it together and have it stay. But it's incredibly warm, and Ben was incredibly warm. And I thank him for that.
Here, here.
Wrote lots of crazy songs because that's just the way it was. And one of them that we wrote together years ago was right when the Shah of Iran died. And so this song came out, and I still play it because people ask me to play it, and it's just fun. So anyway, it's called I Used to Run Iran. Used to be the leader of a little old country way down in the Middle East. Every night I'd water down my camels, and then I'd have myself a doggone feast. They used to run Iran, Iran, they used to run around. Iran, they used to run around. Moved down to Southern California just to see what I might see. On my butt I wore little nylon running shorts, and on my feet I wore an IKE. Used to run Iran, Iran, they used to run around. Iran, they used to run around. Iran, play days, Steve.
All right. Yeah. Awesome.
I want to read something that's of his work. He considered Silver Hill a family, and every Christmas he would put this out to staff. So in the email it started out, "Here's to my Silver Hill family," because that's what he considered all of us. "'Twas the night before Christmas, and up on the hill, not a patient was wandering in search of a pill. One tech was on break with another one rounding, and I at the nursing keyboard a pounding. What broke the silence that settled the floor was the sound of the buzzer at the exterior door. When what to my wandering eyes would behold but a walk-in outside in the dark and the cold. I paged the OD, and I called up the soup. Then I went out to see what was out on the stoop. The walk-in was chubby and flushed at the nose, and over his shoulder a huge bag of clothes. Was he drunk and a fall risk? I was worried about staffing. He was clearly quite manic by the way he was laughing. What's your name? I inquired as I opened the portal. I'm St. Nicholas, he said with a chuckle. Delusional, manic, and a great white beard. We'll send him to Norwalk to be medically cleared. It'll take us forever to go through this case, but by now the OD was 1-to-1, face-to-face. He told us, bring Haldol, Ativan, Incogitin, Trazodone, Risperidone, Colace, Augmentin. He's bipolar and having a religious delusion. Prepare the quiet room for 4-point seclusion. The text did a body check. He had poor ADLs. His red suit emitted some chimney-like smells. Into the sharps went his belt and strings. He had no money, no watch, no rings. I added his name to the days in her shift. While the tech searched his bag, it was full of wrapped gifts. Then he asked just once if we'd allow him go outside on the deck for a puff in the snow. Even though he was manic, he seemed in control. What would it hurt to allow him a bowl? Once outside, he put his hand to his nose, and up into the sky, the new patient arose. Elopement alert, I exclaimed on the radio dial, but the fat man just hung in the air for a while. Call it crazy, he said, some sort of hallucinations. I've been in plenty of tight situations. But you get to go home in the morning, I'll bet. But I've got a lot more stops to make yet. Then he let out a whistle and along came a sleigh with 8 flying reindeer leading the way. And I heard him exclaim as he left AMA, I might be crazy, but you have to stay.
Hi, what do you think?
Oh, this is fantastic. It's all been great. Worth
Did you do the Grand Circle tour yet?
No, there's a lot of people.
You got time.
You
got time. You guys know each other.
Oh, yeah. All right.
What do you think about life?
Well, I'm learning a lot about it today. I am.
And about Ben,
how to live
right?
it today. I don't know.
It's a trip, isn't it?
I felt like I had never personally met him, but y'all did such a good job of actually like explaining who he was and what he meant.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I get to know you more and Hannah more because of that. Like it was so incredible. But
thanks for coming.
What joy, what humor.
Thank you.
Like
yeah,
it's like what you would aspire to live a life for.
And also, you know, I spend so much time writing and documenting, and you wonder what it's for, the accumulation, and how lucky and grateful this guy was to have people who are stewards of his narrative, you know,
Totally.
and his family. It's just like a blessing. Like, we should all be so lucky, I think.
Yeah.
I will say Kelly, you do a good job.
One of the biggest compliments of a life is like a standing room only. Wait, you know, like that is like the most objective mark of life well lived. You know, like if friends and family in an art show.
Here, here.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you for coming.
So, Tim, you have a few pieces that Benny made or gave you in the show. What does it feel like to see it all here together in context? No wrong answers.
I mean, honestly, it feels like it's about time that I was in a space where he had a show, because his work is so beautiful. And, you know, I've always thought that if Benny had a different personality, he would be a big star in the art world. But who cares? Who cares? He was a creative guy. He loved making art. He couldn't stop making art. And I see some of the pieces that Benny gave me, and I'm like so proud, you know, of him. And so I feel so honored to have some of this stuff and realize how generous Benny was to me. Yeah, I just, you know, I love him and I love his work. And it's really fun to see it on a wall and in a gallery.
Here. Thanks, man. Do you guys see where Ben is in this? The artist inserting himself into the image?
Yeah, I would think, you know, he's got to be over here.
Very good. What's your reaction to the show?
I think it's amazing. I mean, it's from fine art to crude, which is, you know, my preference. So anywhere in between, but it's kind of like
hobo art?
Well, I don't know any hobos that have done art, except if Ben had a brief period as a hobo. I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, you know, coming from somebody who's, you know, when I look at this stuff, I think of my own life too, just doodling, and not to say like I'm Ben Guerrero, but
no, you're a doodler.
It's like sometimes I look at all these like bins of stuff I've collected and think like, who will ever do anything with this? And to see this is kind of like very like a beautiful, like comforting thought, like just for me personally, like that this stuff is being cared for by other people, and it can be like, I don't know, what would you call it? Reinvigorated and maybe presented for people that have no idea he ever did, for instance, the baby stuff.
We'll go look at the mixtapes. This is what he's talking about here.
Yeah, like I had no idea, but this makes perfect sense to me. Like just seeing this stuff is very inspiring, you know? And even his...
You mean Keith Haring is dead, Christmas '96?
Right, and he was long dead by then, so I don't know. You know, but
Continues to be.
He continues to be dead, but it's nice to have a tribute to him, and artist to artist.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
So you've seen the exhibit.
I've seen the exhibit.
Give us a post-mortem, for lack of a more tasteful expression.
That's a really tasteless expression, a post-mortem, but very appropriate. No, man, I don't know. I mean, this guy. I was just saying. You know, the thing about Benny that we all loved and were exasperated by was his talent. It was exasperating. And
you mean it didn't stop? It had no bounds?
It was just fucking unbelievable. It was, you know, in fact, the mantra that we all grew up with as teenagers, and I was going to say this, but I couldn't, was fucking Guerrero. Fucking Guerrero. It was, you know, all, you know, but what I was just saying to Ben, it's like, this is the other exasperating thing about him was he didn't do a lot of work. Like, this is...
He made it look easy, you mean?
Well, no, he didn't do a lot. He didn't apply himself as much as he should have, according to us judgmental types. So the deal is like, this is the best he did without really doing anything that he could have. If you know what I mean.
It makes you wonder
the talent is off the fucking charts.
Right.
And the energy was a little bit lacking. And I don't mean that, I mean that objectively. I don't mean that, it's not criticism. He had kids to raise. He had a life. He had to be a provider. All that stuff. But, man, if he just dedicated his life to art.
And also, I don't know if you all noticed, like, this is placed here, back of the piano. And then over here, there's another one.
Yeah, his fascinating. Well, he did play the piano briefly, and he certainly grew up with a piano.
Well, your mom sure did.
Right, and it's interesting that that's what the back of a piano looks like. I mean, the
I
detail.
knew. Yeah.
The detail.
Yeah, like, who's thinking about that?
Yeah.
Twice.
Ben.
And I think the lining of that coat might have been
He was a really brilliant guy.
He was. Yes, absolutely.
In many ways.
Now, Karen and Susie, I have a question. Yes.
Uh-oh.
This is, and Rich too.
Okay, Rich, we're all up.
Well, Helen too, but she's been here before, she's probably heard this spiel. This painting here was rejected by the New Canaan Society for the Arts annual jury exhibition. And Ben was actually the president of that.
Oh,
but he
dear.
still managed to get his painting rejected. And the judge would not say why.
Huh, but why? I don't know.
Well,
is the judge
question.
kind of, let me
Are
ask
you offended by this painting? Maybe what
No.
year was this? 1998?
I love the guy, Ben, mowing the lawn.
Ben mowing the lawn.
Yeah, it's terrific.
But it's, I would say it's clearly a critique of New Canaan.
Yes.
Oh.
Is the brick wall with the arches there, is that somewhere in town?
Yes, that's the town.
Waveney?
Whatever you want to call it.
Allegedly.
This big mansion in this park in New Canaan. Maybe she's
I think it's the baby with the Christ symbol.
Well,
Yeah,
right.
probably.
That, and maybe
Big business.
the halo around
Starbucks.
But that's art. That's okay. I can't see how it could get rejected
Well,
myself.
Oh, yeah, well, and the
Well, he
gap.
still hasn't
Yeah.
commented, the judge.
Yeah,
So.
Nancy called the judge,
Yeah,
who
just to
actually
say.
rejected a painting the year before.
I don't know. It's so well done.
Reject.
But I think, a lot of what you learn from this show is about Ben's concept of himself as an outsider.
Right.
So there he is, the barefoot Mexican mowing the lawn in the direction
Right.
of, is that a Toltec or Olmec head? I get the mixed
Easter
up.
head, yeah.
No, that's a symbol of Mexico. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dad always said he'd like to make stone walls because of his Toltec ancestry.
That was the reason, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, Olmec. I do get the mixed up. Well, I think I was telling you how much I learned about my brother from this show. And I think the show underlined his feelings as an outsider, which I think we all feel to some degree. I was unaware that he felt it so keenly because he was the one who didn't make as much out of being half Mexican. And
Right.
he also got away with it physically. So I learned that about him. Maybe he expressed it in a different way. And also the materials he worked with and the way he improvised. I mean, he never let not having money or not having the right tool or not having the right material stop him.
Yeah.
No. No.
So true.
Very, very creative man.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good show, Dad.